Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today we're talking about an M performance car, namely the M240i. Now the M240i comes in 2017 with a facelift, because the entire 2 Series range was facelifted by BMW, and that facelift is mainly reduced to a couple of aesthetical improvements. Up front we have new headlights with more angular shapes and giving the whole car a bit of a more aggressive vibe, in my opinion. The corona rings are sleeker and sharper, and I just love the way they look. They should look like that on every BMW. And around the back we have new taillights that also incorporate LED lighting, so they look great too. That's about it on the outside. On the inside, not a lot has changed in terms of design. The interior is basically the same, with a couple of small changes. The biggest one is the instrument cluster that used to be orange and now is white, and it has a new design that I absolutely love. It looks brilliant both at day and at night. During nighttime, the indicators for the speedometer and the rev counter turn red, and they look absolutely brilliant. Also inside we have the xDrive 6.0 system, which was introduced in 2016 when the 2 Series got a bit more tech infused into it. It's the same system found on the 7 Series, the 5 Series, with a couple of less features, of course, because we're still talking about the 2 Series and it doesn't get the full spectrum of technology BMW has at the moment. So, but you do get a touch sensitive screen, and you get the new interface. That being said, those are basically the changes done to the 2 Series facelift. But the M240i is interesting because of completely different reasons, and they're not related to the way it looks. No, they're related to what hides under the bonnet. That's where we have a B58 3-liter straight-six engine that makes 340 horsepower and 500 Nm of torque. Now, those levels of power mean that this car is extremely fast off the line, especially if you get it with the automatic 8-speed gearbox, excuse me, and the xDrive system. That means you'll get added grip, and you'll do 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. Now 0 to 62 takes 4.4 seconds, and that places the M240i right between the manual and the DCT M2, which is the top dog in the 2 Series range. To be more precise, the DCT gearbox is claimed by BMW to reach 100 kilometers an hour in 4.3 seconds, while the manual should take you 4.5 seconds. Now the big issue with that is that you really have to know your car in order to achieve those numbers, because the M2, as we all know, is rear-wheel drive, so that will bring forward a couple of traction issues. You need to know how to control your car. Even if you have the DCT gearbox with launch control active, you will still spin. Now, there's no chance in hell that would happen with the M240i with xDrive, because xDrive has grown over the years and improved traction greatly. During our time with the car, we tried to launch it a couple of times, and none of these launches showed any wheel spin. We even filmed it in slow motion just to show you guys just how great the traction is. So here is a 0 to 62 launch that shows exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as you saw, the M240i is extremely fast off the line because it has great traction. Now, you should also know that the M240i Coupe is also available with the manual gearbox and with rear-wheel drive. So enthusiasts claiming that a car should only be had with a manual gearbox and it should be rear-wheel drive can also get a fun small coupe to have fun with. That said, I would definitely go for the ZF gearbox and xDrive, because this thing is simply a rocket, and it's a sleeper too if you know how to dress up your car. Now, the only elements on the outside that separate the M240i from the rest of the range are the ferric gray inserts in the air inlets up front, the ferric gray windows covers, mirror covers, and the lettering on the boot. Now, you can always delete the lettering on the boot. Nobody will know what engine you have on this car, and unless they know that M Performance cars come with ferric gray accents, they will be surprised when they line up next to you at a stoplight. Speaking of rivals, this car's main rivals are the Audi TT-S and the Porsche Cayman, the simple version. So these two are the car's main rivals, and I might even venture off into the unknown and claim that the M2 is also a rival for this car. Before you judge me, please hear me out. The reason I'm saying that is because the M2 comes with basically similar 0 to 60 specs, but it has a clear advantage in terms of performance on the track. At the same time, it asks a premium from the owner, both in terms of purchase price and maintenance later down the line. That means the M2 will be considerably expensive to run and to buy. So, does the added performance justify that price tag? Well, it depends on what you're going to do with it. People going to the track all the time will obviously prefer the M2 because it will be faster than the M240i all the time. Even if you get the optional LSD for the rear axle, the M2 will still be faster than the M240i. The thing is, an increasingly smaller number of people takes their car to the track. So if you're going to use this car as a daily, the M240i is the better choice. Not only because it is a lot more consistent in 0 to 60 claims, which is, let's admit it, the way we race most often, but it's also a lot easier to live with because the suspension is softer and you have more room in the back because The chassis is a bit different, as it doesn't have to accommodate the different suspension the M2 comes with and the active M differential at the back and so on. So the M240i is easier to live with. It's cheaper to buy, it's cheaper to maintain, so it will be the more practical choice unless you want to go to the track. But even if you do, the M240i can hold its own. It is slower than the M2, but it is faster than the TTS, and it is indeed slower than the Cayman. But you can have a lot of fun with it. The car doesn't understeer even with xDrive, has precise steering, offers a decent amount of feedback considering that this is an EPS system in terms of steering, and it is, I cannot highlight this enough, extremely fun to drive. It sounds absolutely brilliant. The B58 sounds great, and you'll want to push this car to the limit all the time. That's what leads me to my next point, which is how thirsty this car is. Around town I couldn't get it to drop under 13 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers covered, and outside the city limits that fuel consumption went down to 9 liters per 100 kilometers, but driven extremely softly with a lot of care. And that's not the way you want to drive this car. You can cover about 300 miles, I think closer to 200 miles if you're really careful with the throttle, with a full tank of gas. So yeah, it's not that fuel efficient, but considering the performances it brings to the table, it is absolutely great. It's not that thirsty. It could have been a lot worse. Now that said, the M240i has been deemed the best driver's car by a lot of journalists out there, mainly because of its price tag and its performance. It's an unbeatable combination. And Consumer Reports, when the M235i came out, the predecessor of this car, claimed that that was the best car they've driven in years, and nearly gave it a perfect score of 100 points of 100. Only the Tesla Model S beat the M235i, and the M240i is even better because the engine is better, it sounds better, has more power, and it turns this car into a proper rocket. Now this has been my review of the M240i. I cannot recommend it enough for an enthusiast. It's only 52,000 euros in Europe. That's the starting price. The car I'm testing is 60,000 euros, and it is absolutely amazing. If you're looking for a fun little car to begin your life with, your car enthusiast life with, this is the one to go with. For now, this has been my review of the M240i. Hope you guys liked it. Hope to see you next time. Don't forget to give me a like if you enjoyed this video, and maybe some suggestions in the comment section below. Until next time, see you soon.